From as far back as the early Dalek comics, certain appearances of the Dalek Emperor have depicted him in a bulbous gold casing, the design of which appears to vary sometimes from appearance to appearance. Due to the complicated, contradictory and confusing nature of the Dalek timeline, it is unclear as to how this particular Emperor fits into Dalek history. Is this the same Emperor from the Evil of the Daleks, or the Parting of the Ways? Are these various different appearances of an Emperor Dalek all meant to be the same character, or are they all separate Dalek Emperors? And what about the newer appearances of Gold Emperors, from the Daleks animated series and Liberation of the Daleks? Well, in this video, we are going to give a brief overview of each of these Gold Emperors and try to figure out what's going on here. The Dalek Prime. The earliest appearances of the Gold Dalek Emperor, primarily from the Dalek Chronicles comics, is supposedly the original Dalek, the Dalek Prime, as well as the first Dalek Emperor. This Gold Dalek Emperor led the Dalek Empire, with the Black Dalek leader as its second-in-command and the Brain Machine as its primary advisor, and led many Dalek campaigns in their early history, including the destruction of Alvega, the incursion of Praetorian marauders, and the conflicts with the Solturians, the Monstrons, and the Mechanoids, while also dealing with threats to its empire from Skaro itself, such as Zeg's Rebellion, the Rust Plague, and various creatures from the Lake of Mutations. The Dalek Prime sent the Black Dalek to oversee the first Dalek invasion of Earth, and was furious to hear of its failure when the occupation was overthrown. The Emperor attempted several other incursions onto other planets and invasions of human space from the 25th to 27th centuries, and was caught up in conflicts with the Space Security Service, the Thals, the Draconians, the Cybermen, and the Galactic Council. The Death Wheel. During one particularly notable conflict in the 26th century, the Dalek Emperor oversaw the construction of the Death Wheel over the planet Hell, using Ogrons and enslaved Helkans to construct a massive superweapon to use against the rest of the universe. After capturing the Seventh Doctor, the Emperor recognised him as well as his previous incarnations as enemies of the Daleks, but the Doctor seemed to be under the impression that the Emperor was actually Davros, having lost all memory of his past self and succumbing completely to the Dalek Emperor persona. This turned out to be incorrect, but oddly enough the Emperor seemed to have no knowledge of Davros, so it is unknown whether this Dalek Emperor is the Dalek Prime, or whether a successor Emperor with a similar looking casing had taken over the Dalek Empire at that point. Either way, the Death Wheel was destroyed by Absalom Dark, and this Emperor was presumed to have been destroyed as well, though some accounts suggest he survived. A new Emperor? According to one account of Davros' trial, which took place after his capture by the Daleks following incidents on Necros and Lethe, the Gold Dalek Emperor was the one who oversaw the trial, though exactly which Dalek presided over Davros' trial is one of the key points of contradiction across the various accounts, with the Black Dalek and the Dalek Litigator also being cited as possibilities. Regardless, some accounts indicate that a Gold Emperor, either the original Dalek Prime or a new Gold Emperor, who was now aware of who Davros is, was conducting an interrogation on Davros when meteors struck the Dalek city and a computer virus ravaged Dalek systems. The Sixth Doctor saved Davros from the trial, and to get revenge, the Dalek Emperor transmatted Absalom Dark from his supposed demise at the destruction of the Death Wheel and tricked him into capturing the Doctor. The Emperor dispatched the Seventh Doctor and a Black Dalek leader, who was sometimes purple, to Spyridon to recapture Davros, but Davros had used the Dalek army frozen there to create an army of Imperial Daleks, which according to this account led to the opening conflict of the Imperial Renegade Dalek Civil War. Davros later returned to Skaro with the army, and declared that the Emperor was no longer needed, ordering his extermination. With the Gold Dalek Emperor dead, Davros then took up the position of Emperor of the Daleks. However, alternate accounts suggest that the true Dalek Prime was in fact elsewhere for these events, and the destruction of the Gold Dalek Emperor was actually faked. The Dalek Prime had replaced Skaro with a decoy planet named Antolin, according to War of the Daleks, which has been heavily disputed to the extent of being effectively decanonised in the years since its release, meaning that the Imperial Daleks had destroyed themselves with the Hand of Omega, but the true Daleks loyal to the Dalek Prime were safe on the real Skaro. Following this, the Dalek Prime switched the names of the Dalek factions, meaning the surviving Renegade Daleks became the Imperial Daleks, and the name Renegades was given to any Dalek who still showed sympathy to Davros' cause. But it goes without saying that this account is heavily disputed, and while remnants of the Renegade Daleks did exist following the Imperial Renegade Dalek Civil War, other accounts indicate that the next appearance of the Gold Dalek Emperor was not in fact the Dalek Prime, and was instead a former member of Davros' council, who rose from the ashes of the Imperial faction to found the Restoration Empire, dubbing itself the Emperor of the Restoration. The Emperor of the Restoration donned a gold casing similar to the earlier Dalek Emperor, in order to hark back to the earlier pre-schism days of the Dalek Empire. The Emperor used an advanced design of Dalek first pioneered during the Second Dalek War as the model for the drones of his new empire, and imbued certain Daleks with specific personalities in order to form a Time Squad, which acted as an advisory body similar to a Supreme Council, and was made up of the Dalek Executioner, the Dalek Scientist, the Dalek Commander, and an ancient Dalek from early in their history called the Dalek Prime Strategist. The Emperor of the Restoration led the Dalek race in several campaigns against the Archivians of Islos, the Hond, the Mechanoid Queen and her empire, and a mysterious entity that threatened to destroy all Daleks in the universe. According to some accounts, the Emperor of the Restoration went on to become the Dalek Emperor in the Last Great Time War, though others suggest that the Dalek Prime Strategist assassinated the Emperor and that it was he who went on to lead the Daleks during the early days of the Time War. Either way, the Emperor from the early days of the Time War was killed and replaced by an amalgamation Emperor, who appeared to be a resurrected form of the Dalek Prime Emperor, who was restored to the universe over Koska, thanks to the Dalek Time Strategist. The Facsimile Emperor. One other Gold Dalek Emperor did temporarily exist in the universe following the Time War, the Facsimile Emperor, created in the Golden City Zone of the Dalek Dome in 2323 as part of an entertainment complex designed to catalogue Dalek history in the form of a theme park. The advanced Dalek facsimiles there, including this Emperor, believed that they were true Daleks, and when they were made aware of their status as simulacra, they devised a plan to actualise themselves in the real world, essentially establishing a new Dalek Empire. The Emperor created a mathematician's moon to complete the necessary calculations, and contacted Dalek leaders from other exhibits in the Dome to inform them of its plan and form a grand Dalek alliance. The 14th Doctor attempted to interfere after discovering that the facsimiles were generated using the brain patterns of living Dalek mutants, but the Emperor destroyed his sonic screwdriver and attempted to steal the TARDIS, until he realised he was too wide to fit through the doors. The facsimile constructs were all destroyed when the Emperor's ship crashed into the moon, ending the Dalek incursion. And with that, we've reached the end of the known chronology of appearances of Gold Dalek Emperors, be they manifestations of the Dalek Prime, restored Emperors modelling themselves off the early Daleks, or facsimiles created for other purposes. What do you think of the various appearances of the Gold Dalek Emperor? Do you think that all of these Gold Emperors are the same individual, or is the mantle and personality of a Dalek Emperor passed from Dalek to Dalek by some other means? Do you think we will ever see a Gold Dalek Emperor appear in the TV series? Let me know in the comments below.
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to
Dalek Bumps.